Welcome back to the deep dive. There's really nothing quite like watching a little one grow, is there?
Oh, it's incredible.
From those first sort of wobbly steps to, well, the explosion of new words, it's just an amazing, beautiful, and yeah, sometimes a slightly bewildering journey. As parents, I think we've all found ourselves wondering, is my little one on track? Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe, what can I do to best support their amazing development?
Absolutely. That universal fascination mixed with, a healthy dose of loving worry. It's something we all share.
It really is.
And that feeling of wanting to understand and support your child's growth, well, it's so common. And that's precisely why we're diving deep today.
Exactly.
Our mission really is to navigate this exciting and, occasionally overwhelming world of early childhood development. We're specifically focusing on that critical period between, say, 9 and 18 months.
A really key time.
It is. We want to sort of cut through all the information overload out there and offer you clear, science-backed insights, in a warm, relatable way, give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we've really pulled from a fantastic stack of sources. We've explored extensive research studies, including some fascinating longitudinal data, alongside expert pediatric guidelines from, leading health organizations, and rich insights from specialists in child development.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, we've distilled all of it to give you a solid, reliable foundation for understanding this crucial period. So let's begin unpacking this amazing dance of development.
Let's do it. What's universally recognized and truly fascinating is that the first few years of life are just incredibly important.
Foundational, really.
They genuinely lay the groundwork for lifelong learning and overall development across every domain: motor skills, language, social emotional growth, cognitive abilities. You can think of these early skills as the fundamental building blocks for everything that comes next.
So as we begin this incredible journey of development, where do we start? Let's zoom in on the very beginning, those biological foundations. What impact do those innate qualities, the nature they're born with, have, especially in these earliest months?
That's a powerful place to start, yeah. Initially, biological factors play a really significant role. Research indicates that things like a child's birth weight, whether they were born preterm or full term,
Right.
and even their natural temperament, maybe how persistent they are, can be strongly associated with their developmental attainment around 9 months.
Interesting.
And interestingly, studies have also shown that female children tend to have a slightly higher probability of reaching developmental norms compared to male children right at this early stage.
So these biological foundations clearly set the stage early on, but what happens as a child grows? Does that initial biological influence stay constant, or does something else begin to take over?
Well, this is where it gets truly transformative, actually.
Yeah.
And it's a profound insight for parents, I think.
Yeah.
While your child's initial blueprint, those biological factors are undeniably crucial early on, by about 18 months. Research, particularly from a large prospective study that followed children over time, it suggests their direct effects on development tend to significantly lessen or, well, even appear to disappear.
Really? Disappear?
Well, maybe disappear is too strong, but their direct initial impact seems to become much less pronounced as they continue to grow and interact more with their world.
Wow. That's a remarkable shift, isn't it?
It really is.
It sounds like the environment then takes on an even greater role. And for our little ones who entered the world prematurely, what should parents keep in mind regarding this early developmental period?
Yeah, that's a great point. For babies born prematurely, it's crucial to remember the practice of using corrected age for developmental assessment.
Corrected age. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this means you calculate their age from their original due date, not their actual birth date, usually for the first 24 to 36 months. And the good news, and this is an important reassurance for parents, is that most children with sort of transient delays related to prematurity tend to catch up with their full-term peers by age 2 or 3.
That's good to hear.
Children are incredibly resilient. Often, with a bit of time, these early differences smooth out.
That's a huge relief for many parents, I'm sure. So if nature's direct influence starts to kind of fade a bit, what steps onto center stage? This is where the power of environment and relationships, the nurture part, really comes into its own, right?
Precisely. As a child gets older, these psychosocial and environmental factors seem to gain increasing influence. And a crucial one highlighted by research is the role of stimulation from the mother, or primary caregiver.
Ah, stimulation. How so?
Well, studies show it's not just linked to development at 9 months, but it actively promotes development at 18 months. It's not just about what they're born with, you see, but what they experience and how they're responded to.
I find this incredibly empowering, actually, because it highlights how powerful those everyday interactions
It
are.
will.
I remember reading in our sources about Marta and her son, Carlos. Carlos, he was 16 months, and he was clearly frustrated, banging his cup, trying to communicate he wanted juice.
Yeah. Trying his best.
But Marta wasn't quite getting his specific need initially. But instead of just shutting him down, she took the time, observed him, opened the fridge, pointed to different drinks.
Patiently working through it.
Exactly. And eventually he got out juju for
Yeah.
juice. That patience, that responsiveness, it strengthens their self-esteem, their communication skills. It encourages them to feel like, capable communicators.
It's a beautiful example, isn't it?
And
It shows how powerful those daily interactions can be. Every single moment you spend engaging with your child, even when you're both maybe a little frustrated.
Yeah, happens to us all.
It's a potent developmental tool.
Yeah.
And on another fascinating note, research also found that children with siblings often have a higher probability of achieving developmental norms by 18 months.
Oh, interesting. The sibling effect.
Yeah. As communication abilities increase, the role of siblings becomes even more important. It seems like, I don't know, a built-in peer support system right there at home.
That makes perfect sense. They're getting constant peer interaction and practice. But it goes deeper than just interaction, doesn't it? Our sources emphasize that your relationship with your child is truly the foundation of their healthy development.
It really is the cornerstone. How parents respond to their child, the overall quality of early childhood care,
Yeah.
it can have a direct biological impact on the developing brain.
Wow.
It actively shapes their development as they adapt to the world around them. It's literally molding neural pathways. Now, we also need to touch on socioeconomic factors, but with an important nuance.
The nuance alert. Let's hear it.
Okay, so generally, broader research often links lower socioeconomic status and lower parental education to maybe lower cognitive development outcomes.
Right. We hear that a lot.
However, the specific longitudinal study from Japan that we mentioned earlier, it found that in their particular sample, maternal education and family income were not directly associated with developmental attainment.
Huh. That's interesting, given what we often hear across different studies. How do we interpret that?
It is interesting. It might be due to the homogeneity of their specific sample, meaning the participants in that particular study had relatively similar backgrounds.
So context matters.
Exactly. It raises an important question about how context-specific these research findings can be. But what consistently holds true across various research is that targeted early intervention services are particularly beneficial for children in families with fewer resources.
Right. So support can make a real difference.
Absolutely. It highlights that robust support systems can help bridge developmental gaps, regardless of initial circumstances.
And what about something as fundamental as nutrition? How does that play into this developmental dance between nature and nurture?
Well, even infant nutrition, like a child's weight and, say, hemoglobin levels, has been linked to aspects of infant attachment.
Attachment. How so?
Things like the quality of mother-infant interaction and secure base behavior. Good nutrition isn't just about physical growth. It contributes to these foundational relationship qualities that foster emotional security.
That makes sense.
And just for an even broader perspective, our sources also remind us that cultural practices, like early motor stimulation, which is common in some cultures, can actually lead to advanced gross motor development.
Fascinating.
It's a great reminder that development can have wonderful variations and adaptations across the globe.
Okay, so we've established this dynamic interplay of nature and nurture and how environmental factors really gain importance. Now, for many of you listening, the big question is probably, okay, what should I actually be looking for in my child?
The milestones.
Exactly. Let's talk about those exciting milestones between, say, 12 and 18 months. What are some predictable patterns we can expect?
Well, developmental milestones generally follow a pretty predictable course, with later skills truly building on earlier ones. Understanding these typical patterns can really help you recognize your child's amazing progress.
Yeah.
And what's truly remarkable about these milestones isn't just seeing your child hit each one, but understanding how deeply interconnected they all are.
That's a good point.
A new word isn't just a sound, right? It's a testament to their cognitive processing, their social understanding, even their fine motor control in forming that sound. Each little step is like a symphony of developing skills.
A symphony. I like that. So let's start with language and communication, those little communicators.
Yes. So in terms of understanding, by 9 to 18 months, children really begin to understand common words like mummy, daddy, ball, maybe teddy.
Familiar things.
Exactly. If you say their name, they'll start responding to it. Then by around 16 to 18 months, they can often follow simple one-step directions without you even needing to gesture, like if you just say, come here.
Wow, that's clever.
And from 18 months onwards, they might start to grasp instructions with 2 key words, maybe something like, give me the spoon and the key.
Okay. And the talking part, the expression. That's what everyone gets excited about. What about their own words?
Indeed. So between about 13 and 15 months, your child might try to say 1 or 2 words besides the classic mama or dada.
The first real words?
Yeah. Then by 16 to 18 months, their vocabulary usually increases to maybe 3 or more words.
Damn.
And by 18 months, they can often clearly say no and mine.
Oh, yes. No and mine. Very popular.
Very popular. They might use about 10 to 20 words and thrillingly start combining 2 words together. Things like all gone or daddy bye-bye.
That's a big step.
Huge. Their babbling will also sound much more like real words, and they'll start imitating familiar words and maybe animal sounds.
Beyond words, what about nonverbal communication? My little one's gestures sometimes say more than words, I swear.
They absolutely do. At this age, they'll gesture or point to indicate what they want or, to show you something interesting.
Look at that.
Exactly. You'll also notice them shaking their head no, often quite emphatically, and maybe even putting their hands out for you to wash them. These are all huge communication leaps. It shows how they express themselves long before they have a full vocabulary.
Then there's the motor skills, all that movement. They're really on the move by this point, right?
Oh, definitely. By 18 months, many children are walking independently, which is just a massive step.
Freedom.
Totally. You'll also see them climbing up and down from furniture without assistance, maybe starting to squat during play. And don't forget their fine motor skills. They'll be developing that pincer grasp using their thumb and index finger to pick up small objects with pretty impressive precision.
It's amazing to watch. And socially and emotionally, what kind of little explorers are they becoming at this stage?
They're becoming fascinating little individuals. They'll start copying other children and adults, showing you objects they like, clapping when they get excited, hugging their stuffed animals.
Oh, sweet.
And this is also the age for early pretend play, which is a huge milestone.
Pretend play, like making a spoon into an airplane.
Exactly. It shows they're beginning to understand symbols, ideas beyond just concrete objects. They'll enjoy simple make-believe games, and they'll get excited when they're with other children.
And independence.
Oh, yes. You'll notice them becoming more independent and, yeah, sometimes more defiant, especially with no becoming a favorite word.
The no phase.
Try to think of it not just as defiance, but as their earliest sort of robust attempt at independence, like a tiny revolutionary in the making. It's a completely normal, healthy part of their growing sense of self.
Okay, reframing it helps. And what about that famous stranger anxiety? Or when they cry buckets when you leave? Those can be really tough for parents.
They can be tough, absolutely. Good questions. So stranger anxiety typically starts around 6 to 8 months, often peaks between 12 and 15 months, and usually fades by age 2.
Okay.
It's actually a positive sign of cognitive growth. It shows their developing ability to differentiate between familiar and unfamiliar people, which is a foundational life skill, really.
That makes sense. And separation anxiety.
Similarly, separation anxiety, like crying when you leave, maybe increased night waking, it's very common, and generally temporary. These are normal, healthy developmental phases. And while challenging for you, they actually indicate healthy attachment and cognitive progress.
That's reassuring. And finally, beyond all the movement and communication, there's this fascinating world unfolding inside their minds. Let's explore their incredible leaps in self-help and cognitive development truly, our little problem solvers in action.
Exactly. By around 20 months, say, they might be feeding themselves with a spoon, or you'll see them turning pages in a book one at a time.
Getting independent.
Yeah. Cognitively, they're figuring out how things work, like deducing the location of hidden objects, showing off their growing problem-solving skills and their understanding of cause and effect. It's truly amazing to witness.
That's a lot of incredible development in such a short time. So with all these exciting changes happening, how do we know when it might be time to act or, seek some support?
Monitoring is crucial, right? Absolutely. Pediatric clinicians carefully monitor developmental progress. And the American Academy of Pediatrics actually recommends general developmental screenings at both 9 and 18 months.
Okay, those are key checkup times.
They are. These screenings are designed to give you and your pediatrician a clearer picture of where your child is thriving and where they might need a little extra support. It's all about proactive care.
So what are the specific red flags that parents should look for, especially around that 13 to 15-month mark, that would warrant a conversation with their pediatrician? I know this can feel a bit daunting for any parent.
It can, and it's important to be aware of these signs, but please remember, they are guideposts for discussion, not reasons for panic.
Good point.
You should definitely talk to your pediatrician if your child doesn't babble or try to say words, struggles to stand or maybe shows no signs of walking, consistently avoids eye contact, does not gesture or point, isn't comforted when you return after leaving, if they experience separation anxiety, gets overly attached to strangers, cannot use that pincer grasp to pick up small objects, or is not able to walk while holding your hands.
Okay.
If you spot multiple signs or just have a persistent feeling of concern, trust your instincts. Always talk to your doctor.
Those are clear, actionable points. And if a delay is identified, what happens then? Is there real power in early intervention?
The power of early intervention is just immense. We really want to reassure you listening that if a delay is identified, early intervention services can make a significant difference.
That's good to know.
Research consistently shows that children referred for these services are significantly more likely to make gains in developmental milestones. And this is where we want to truly emphasize, you are not alone in this. Together, we are strong in supporting your child's journey. These services are really a partnership.
That's a powerful and very comforting message. What kind of benefits do these services offer beyond just helping with a specific skill, like walking or talking?
Great question. These services, things like speech or language therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, maybe even special education support, they don't just help with specific skills. They have broad, lasting benefits across educational, cognitive, behavioral, health, economic, and social outcomes. It impacts the child and the entire family.
So it's really holistic.
Exactly. It's a holistic approach to support, aiming for overall well-being.
And finally, to all the parents out there listening,
Go.
Trust your instincts. As we often say, bunu bir uzmana danışmak önemli. It is important to consult an expert on this. Understanding development truly requires a comprehensive approach. You need to look not just at isolated milestones, but also consider behavioral aspects, social factors. Remember, you know your child best.
We truly believe in supporting you through every step of this incredible, sometimes challenging journey.
So what are your thoughts on all this? We'd genuinely love to hear your own experiences or any questions you might have swirling around now. You can reach out to us on social media.
Yeah, please do.
Perhaps we'd even be happy to answer some of your questions in a future deep dive.
And for more scientifically based information, detailed articles, and reliable resources all focused on baby and kids health, we absolutely invite you to visit www.babykidshealth.com.
That's www.babykidshealth.com.
You can explore the platform further for deeper insights tailored specifically to your journey.
As we wrap up this deep dive, let's just remember this. Early childhood development is this beautifully dynamic process. It's influenced by a wonderful interplay of your child's innate qualities that nature they're born with and the rich, nurturing environment that you, as parents and caregivers, provide every single day.
Your powerful role in supporting your child's journey just cannot be overstated. Every interaction, every moment of patience, every loving response, it contributes to their growth and development in really profound ways. Children are incredibly resilient, remember that. And your loving presence truly has the most immense impact of all. You are doing a wonderful job.
So maybe to leave you with a thought to ponder, considering how much those environmental factors gain importance as they grow, what's maybe one new way you might try to playfully stimulate your child's learning today?
Something small.
How might truly understanding the shifting importance of developmental factors change how you celebrate your child's daily progress, whether it's big or small, whether it's a new word, a wobbly step, or even a triumphant no, cherish every moment?
And if you'd like to explore more about all these topics we've touched on, again, I invite you to www.babykidshealth.com for more trusted information and resources.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We wish you all the very best on your parenting journey.